Everyone. John's asked me to do a prayer video focus for Little Footsteps, and so this is going to be part of our 2 weeks of prayer focuses. I'd like to start with a verse from Isaiah. It's chapter 40 and verse 11. He tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms, and he carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young. And it's that last verse, or that last line, that I wanted to focus on really. He gently leads those that have young. For me as a new mum, that became a real light bulb moment for me in understanding how God works with young families and parents. He gently leads those that have young. It took off my shoulders the weight and the burden of responsibility, I think, or it certainly helped me to manage that sense of responsibility for somebody else's life. When I first became a mum, it was difficult. I felt quite isolated and alone, and it wasn't until I had found mums and tots groups where we lived abroad that I suddenly realised I wasn't alone, and that there were other mums and other young families that I could spend time with and that I could learn from and be supported by. So when we think of Little Footsteps, it can literally be a lifeline to young families, to parents with young children, which, being a parent for a first time, or even if you've done it a few times, it can still feel very overwhelming, very lonely, very difficult and uphill all the time, and with very little rest or respite from constant needs that you are needing to meet. And so Little Footsteps is an amazing opportunity to welcome families, not necessarily if they're struggling, but just to welcome families and to build relationship and friendship with them. And so I want us to praise God really, because over the years Little Footsteps has built some brilliant relationships with families in the area, and we're still in touch with those families even though their children are a bit older. And many of them still come back to events that we do that are suitable for older children or just families as a whole. And we're still building, Little Footsteps is still building those relationships. So praise God that we have had that opportunity as a church over a number of years. But that leads me to my second prayer point, and that is that pray that God will really use those relationships to bring families into his family. So we've got some really good friendships, and there's been life shared, which is amazing and wonderful. But the reality is that we've really not had people or families come through to God's kingdom and in being welcomed into his family, and found a place with him and his family. And that's what we want. We want to share the good news that we have. We want to share the community that we have. We want to share the joy and the hope that we have, share the wisdom that God has in parenting. There is so much wisdom in his word that he shares about how to parent and how to parent well. And we want to be able to share all of that with the families that we're meeting with. And so please pray that the relationships we're building, God will be able to use to welcome them into his family. And also, would you pray for more volunteers? We need more people to be able to come and help and support those families that we're meeting with, and that we're supporting, and that we're providing a lovely, safe place to be and for their children to come and play. So we need more volunteers. Please pray for that. And would you pray also that that the team would have opportunities to share about God in those sessions. Now, it's very difficult to have any kind of conversation when, you've got kids running around and, you're always keeping half an eye on the children around you. But God can use any situation, and we need God to really open people's hearts and for them to come maybe with questions, maybe with just suddenly a revelation of their need for Him, for God. And so pray for opportunities. Pray that the team would have opportunities to share God's goodness, to share their stories, to share how God has helped them as a parent. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.